Welcome back, everybody. It's another week that has gone by very quickly, and I'm thankful for it. Uh, Actually, last Friday, both of my cell phones actually were broken. This is my original Samsung A3. What had happened to this one is I had it plugged in charging or something like that, something to that effect, anyhow. And I had kind of not accident. I'm not saying it's accidental. It probably was, but it dropped from the table down to the floor. And what ended up is that it actually made a huge crack in several places. One was on the top over here, and another one was at the bottom part of the screen. So the screen was not the LCD or LED, I should say, was destroyed. It was actually the screen glass that's actually on top of it, like a sandwich. That there was so bad. It's like you can almost feel the shards wanting to peel off from it. So I actually found a place to get this here repaired, along with the USB-C charger on it, and the same thing for this one here. The USB-C charger was actually slowly dying as well. So while they had it in there, got them to repair it, along with my mom's the first generation iPad, because the batteries was completely kaput. So I got that repaired as well at the same time while I was there. That there is actually going to be my iPad, but it's just for technical manuals, like for computer repair, computer stuff like that, reference manuals. That's what I want to use it for, and to do some reading. I'm not really going to go on the internet with it per se, but I can if it's still compatible with Safari that's on there. I'll take a look to see if it is once I get my Apple account actually how can I say, it's not broken, but it's actually locked. Once I found out it was actually still locked, I had to call in Apple to make some changes on it to actually log in. Change the telephone number that I originally had on there, because my old cellular number was no longer good. It's now a burnt phone number. So I had to update that to the current one that I have here on my new phone. So I updated that, and at the same time, noticing that I made the request, and I'm not blaming the reps at the support desk there. They're just doing their jobs, and I completely understand. And me being a rep myself, I would not go down their throat saying that they're not doing a good job. They're trying their best. They only have a limited scope that they can actually do stuff in. And this happens to be one of them. The account is going to be unlocked, but it's going to take about almost 2 weeks. So by the end of the month, on the 29th, I should be getting a notification via phone saying that it's been unlocked, and that I can actually go in and actually log in, like change the password and all that, to be able to log in and be able to set that up. Once I do set that up properly, once my account has been enabled, then I could actually log into it with iTunes and do a full format on that iPad. So that way everything's erased on it, and I can put it as new for myself. And like I said, it's not to... My mother wanted her iPad so badly, so we got her to upgrade. So this is the original one that I'm going to be using for myself, and she has her own newer one, more professional, kind of professional, sort of. But still, it's still a good iPad to work with, even if it's just doing for reference purposes, or something as easy as that. So, and today I'm actually officially on vacation for 1 week. I wasn't too sure if I was going to be able to get my vacation time, but for this coming week that's coming up, 1 week in August, and then 1 week in December. for the simple fact I thought it was too late in getting it set up. But luckily I wasn't, and we were able to get it done, and everything was approved. So I'm on a 1 week's vacation without thinking about work, and it's hard to say that working from home is the greatest thing. I like working from home, but I also like going into the office to be able to meet with my colleagues and all that, be able to see people and talk with them face to face. Because it's different when you're reading text, through the instant messengers that they have. You know, with our company, we're using Teams. Most other people are using Google Chat or Facebook Messenger to chat with other people. It's just not the same as being in person with somebody, and that's the important part, I find. And yeah, I'm going to make this I'm going to make this 1 week just of a video for my vacation. I got other little projects I'm going to work up on as well too during the week, but I'm going to come down as I get them done and knock them off. I know for sure tomorrow that I'm going to be doing some what you call outside. I'm going to cut the lawn outside, so I'm going to be doing that tomorrow. Hopefully it's not raining, but I'll try to get it done tomorrow. Right now as well, I've been meaning as well to get this. This is another SSD from TimeTech that I have, and I've actually installed Linux on this. Now, for those who are not familiar, I know there's people who love Macs and there's people who love their Windows, and of course the old retro gaming field where you have all these older computers. For those who don't know about Linux, especially in the Windows world, who are just a Windows end user, and those who are just Apple OS X users, Linux is another distro, or actually in general, Linux means the actual kernel itself. Whereas with OS X, which is built on FreeBSD for their operating system, but it's made as proprietary, or FreeBSD, which is from Berkeley's. They actually use that to make the operating system for the Apple side of things, like for OS X, for like the Pro and all that, which is no problems whatsoever. Of course, then you have your Windows people with Windows 11, Windows whatever version they're working at. And then you got people with Linux. Linux is another variant of, I'll say this, Linux is a cousin of Unix. It's not the same as Unix. It may have the command line and all that, but I'll say it's just a distant cousin. It works exactly the same way as Unix is, but it's just different for the fact that it's free. There are some distros like through Red Hat and through some other ones like through Chronicle, as an example. They have one for the end user, which is people like myself. People like for the people who want to learn this, they have a free one there for those people, and then they have ones that you actually have to pay for what they call it's for the support of it on whatever they want to do with it. So if it's something like server side setups and all that, well, that's where you pay through the nose. So, but in general, PC wise, like for the home user, you got all these 355 variant 300. I would say about close to 400 to 500 distributions of Linux that have way more different GUIs. Like you have KDE, you have GNOME, or some people say GNOME or GNOME. I say GNOME just the same. It's just GNOME. They have KDE. They have GNOME. They have XFCE. They have a couple of interfaces that some are more heavy intensive, like GNOME, and then you have ones that are like XFCE, which is a really light one. And between those two, I like it sometimes when I need a heavy GUI, and GNOME does it. And sometimes I like ones that are lighter, XFCE. That does a great job too. And I like keeping those two every so often. And yeah, I like using either one that I'm using, depending on the time of day. I got it installed on here. It's a 2 terabyte SSD from TimeTech, and surprisingly, especially when I put it on my tiny PC here, the Lenovo M710Q that I have with 32 gigs of RAM and some 32 gigs of RAM, a 2 terabyte NVMe, and another one like these running on a Windows environment on that one. But this one here is the Linux one, because I had marked it on the back side, Linux, and it works great. To tell you the truth, it depends on the type of work that you want to do. Not all drivers for wireless networking will work. Some will. I had an older, an older USB dongle for wireless, and it worked great with that. I put a gigabit one for wireless, and there was no driver for it, basically. But that's okay. I mean, that's just part and parcel of using Linux. You know, I still can connect it up to my network via through Cat 5, which I have no problems at all. But sometimes it would be nice just to work with the wireless section. And some devices from TP-Link, which is the one I have for both of them. The solar one will work fine, the newer one won't, but I'm not going to complain. For what I needed to do, it does the job. Besides that, nothing really much else besides having fun on my own here, now that I can actually rest and relax for about a week. And spend time with my mom, helping her out too, because since my father had passed away about a year or so ago already, it takes a lot out of everybody. And he actually passed away on the same day as my brother's birthday, and it was at 9:30, quarter to 10 at night, that he passed away in the toilet. He actually fell over from what we just don't know, but he just passed away like that. So what can you do? Anyhow, so I'm going to let you guys go. I'm going to actually try to do something here with this for now. Get my feet wet back into some Linux. And take it from there. Let's go for it. And we're back. Hello guys. This is actually Sunday, day 2 of my vacations. And I was actually having some fun yesterday. I actually have a small stick vac from Ryobi. It's the PLC 720. It's a nice little shop vac. Runs on 4 amp hour batteries as the bare minimum, or I should say 4 amp hour or greater. So 4, 6, 8, 9, and the 12 amp hour batteries. It runs fine totally in that. Just the difference of the amp hours being, it lasts longer when using that particular battery. So last week I actually was doing some vacuuming and noticed that there was no suction to be had. Like it wasn't picking up the normal stuff that I was usually picking up with when it was working properly. So I ended up yesterday, after I did the recording of this of part 1 from yesterday, I decided to open it up. And I mean, I just took it apart, not taking the screws out, but just to see what was wrong with it. And there was actually, after removing both rollers and just taking a peek in, were the air and the dirt come in, like to get suction up to the container itself by the motor. It was full of cat hair, clogged up. So luckily, I had a couple of leftover metal poles or something like that. Something that was long enough that I can actually put through the hose itself and be able to just push it back out to get it unclogged. Once I was able to do that and got most of the gunk out, it'll be working fine after that. It was just the initial packing of the clog that was in there, and it's not. It shouldn't be done. It should be cleaned regularly, and I was doing it the improper way. Of course, you know how it is with us guys. Sometimes we don't think of what we should, and cleaned it out. Now it's back up and running. So I'm actually going to be doing some vacuuming this afternoon to upstairs in mine. And I really have to say this, for those who do vacuuming often, besides having your regular vacuum cleaner, which could be corded as well, I like using the stick vac for the simple fact I don't like being corded when vacuuming, because you only have a certain amount of leeway with the cord itself when vacuuming, and using the extension is not always that feasible. So with this being cordless, with using a 4, 6, 8, 9 or whatever amperage I had available, it works very well. And I've been getting by with using like a 4 amp hour from Ryobi, both the standard lithium packs or the high capacity ones for vacuuming. So one of those 4 amp hour batteries lasts about 45 to 50 minutes, and that's about the length of time that I usually need to vacuum at least one floor of a duplex. Now I'm living in the basement here, so I have not only the first floor where my mother is at and where most of the days are being spent, I also have the basement to clean the vacuum up. So the 1 amp hour battery turns out to be 1 1/4 when being used, and it gets a lot of usage. And I like doing it once a week with the the stick vac. I'll get it right. I swear to God. And I love using it because for the fact is it's easy to bring around. It's easy to clean. Every time I use it, before I store it away, I usually clean the air filter out as regular as it should. I even use an air compressor to clean off the filter that's on there that sucks the air into it. So it gets used regularly, and I do use a cordless air compressor for that as well, because I have one available. The other one that I have is a 2-gallon one, but it takes forever to fill up the two 1-gallon tanks on it, and it's simply because of the pump itself, the compressor itself for the air. It's really small, and it's not like the typical air compressors that you see in a 6, 8, 10, 12, or whatever other size air compressor that you would usually get at the stores, like where you can actually roll it out, or it's one of those industrial ones which stay in a quarter, and it has like 150. It has a 50-gallon tank, and it's using two pumps to compress the air to get the tanks filled. But still, I still use the 1-gallon one or the 2-gallon tank to clean out stuff like this, just because it's easy to use and it's there and readily available. And I really like it. And that's one thing that some people who don't have a particular brand of tools that they have, like for their woodworking stuff, and one that's more compatible along the lines with their tools, is to get something like that if they have it available. I know Ryobi does, because that's the brand I took, because it's more convenient for me, because it's not a professional one, but it's more or less along the lines that the pricing of the batteries in comparison, like with the DeWalt's and the Milwaukee's and the Rigids and those higher end ones, then I can actually use a wide variety of batteries. And I do have a nice little collection of batteries as well. I have like six. What was it? Six high capacity. Oh no, four high capacity. Yeah, four high capacity, six high performance. Then I have also six regular lithium ions, and then 2 3 amp hours, which doesn't do justice because it's too small, and especially when you're using like a weed whacker compressor, things like that that require a lot of runtime, or even a compressor, vacuum cleaner, little shop vac. Those ones require a lot of power, a lot of amp hours in regards to it. So a 3 amp hour doesn't do it justice for that, but it does great for small things like a small nail gun, drill, impact driver, things like impact wrench. If it's just for a couple of nuts or bolts, things like that, that'll be perfectly fine. Since it's powerful enough, better than a 2 amp hour battery, but you don't need a 4 amp hour battery to do a long term work with it. So it's a nice little in between type of battery. Normally, if it's going to be for a fair amount of time, usually a 4 amp hour, I'll go on the air compressor because that's good for up to 8 or 9 tires, like for inflation wise. But I'm just using the blower effect. I do have the connection for the tires, and I do tend to inflate. I do double check my tires there, so I do some re-inflations of those tires. So it comes in handy, and it's better than bringing out my 2-gallon one with the extension to fill the tires. So that's a good thing. Overall, with what I've been doing with the Ryobi tools that I have, they've been pretty good. And it's not on a daily, or it could be sometimes semi-weekly where I'm using them, or at least one of the tools that I use often for around the house, or when I'm actually working on projects, or I need to cut, lumber and all that. So it comes good in that. So I'm happy with that, to say. And even though I don't use it often, I should use it more often, just to be able to work in some carpentry, just to be able to sit down and relax and enjoy building something, So as for day 2 of being on vacation, I'm going to let this here go as it is for the time being until I can think of something later on today, or maybe during the week, to start vlogging things over. So I'll see you guys then. I'll catch you guys later. Hope to see you soon. Okay? Catch you then.